Hi there friends, this is Sharon from Mad Paper Crush. Welcome back to my channel, and this is kind of a strange time, I think, probably for us all. So I don't know what's going on in your community right now. My county in the state that I live in the United States is under a stay-at-home order, which means that we can really only go out to, doctors' offices and to get groceries. So, or to, help other people who need those, kinds of things. So it's really kind of a strange time, but I'm going to go ahead and do a video on creating some fanciful ephemera, because I think that we could all use a little bit of brightness and creativity in our lives right now. I hope that this helps you. I hope that you enjoy this video as we go through. So what we're going to be making today is this little thing right here, and you can't really tell because my seam bindings tag toppers are going all over the place, but this is actually a stacked pocket. So you can see here I have 3 little tags that go in these 3 little pockets. So if you look at this pocket, it looks like one long pocket, but you can see that there's actually a place to put 3 different tags inside this cute little pocket. So I'm going to teach you how to make this, and it doesn't take very long, doesn't take too many supplies, so I hope that you'll join me today. And one more quick thing before we get started. I just wanted to let you know that this idea was actually inspired by Eva from Bohemian Crafting, and I will tag her channel down below. She really does some amazing things with ephemera. I just love watching her different things. So this is my take on something I saw her do on her channel. Okay, the tools and supplies that you'll need for this project are your cutter, because we're going to be measuring and cutting a bunch of things, a scoreboard if you have one. I really like using this scoreboard. You could also just use, an embossing tool with a ruler, on something soft to make a score if you don't have a board like this. And then also a pair of scissors, a ruler, a pencil, some glue, and then anything else you'll need for like decorating. So if you want the tags that you're going to be putting inside the pockets, if you'd like them to have eyelets or something like that, obviously you'll need those tools when you make that. But these are the things that you'll need just for the pocket itself, to make the pockets themselves. And then also some paper. So I'm just going to be using a cardstock paper that I have, and it's double-sided, but it doesn't need to be, but it should be pretty, sturdy. So you don't want to use copy paper or just regular scrapbook paper. You probably want it to be a little bit more sturdy, like cardstock. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the bottom pocket needs to be cut a little bit different than the stacking part of the pockets. So we're going to cut the bottom one first, and this is actually just an offcut that I had. So you can see it's got the hole from the pad in here. I'm going to see if I can incorporate that into this so that it'll be cut out and we won't even see it. But you want a 4-inch piece of scrap if you're using that, or cut your cardstock, cut a strip to 4 inches to start to use. Now you can do as many of these stacking pockets that you'd like based on the size of the page that you're going to put them on, or whatever. So just know that you can keep going. I'm going to do 3. So I'm going to cut the base first, and the base needs to be 4 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. So I'm just going to cut that first piece off, and this will be the bottom pocket, that'll be, on the bottom. And then the other pockets need to be 3 by 4. So I still have my 4-inch piece here, but now they only need to be 3 inches tall. So I'm going to cut this 2 pieces that are 3 inches tall, like that. And so this I'll use for something else. Okay, so there's my 3 pockets that we're going to use. And remember, the big one is going to be our bottom pocket. So now we're going to do some scoring on each one of these. And for the bottom pocket, we want to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So decide from your paper which one you want to be, which side's going to be right side up. And then we're going to do a 1/2 inch score mark on 3 sides of that, not scoring the top. So we want to score the 2 sides and the bottom. So I'm just actually going to rotate this. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch here. I'm going to rotate it, what's that, 90 degrees, and then, oops, do a 1/2 inch here, and then rotate again and do a 1/2 inch here. So you can see, I don't know which side shows you this better, but I have my score marks on 3 sides, and then my top, there's no score on the top. Okay, and then for the stacking pockets, we want to do a 1/2 inch just on 2 of the sides. So I'm going to do the one that doesn't have the hole in it first. Once again, I'm just going to kind of decide, you know, which side I want to be up. Not that it matters really at this point, since we're only marking the 2 sides. So we're just going to do a 1/2 inch on one side and a 1/2 inch on the other side. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my one with the hole. And you can see, I think that's going to work just fine for me to be able to incorporate that in without having to see it. So, okay, so now I have my 3 pieces, and let me put the scoreboard away here. I have my 3 pieces all scored, and now the next step, we're also going to do a little bit different based on if you're using the base pocket or if you're using the stacking part of the pocket. So for the base pocket, what we want to do is we want to cut out the corner that's on the bottom and then taper the edges. So we're going to fold these in to make a pocket. But I don't want any of those edges to be seen when we do that. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. So for the top 2, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a taper cut into the score that I made on each side. And let's see if I can do it this way. And it doesn't matter how deep the taper is. You don't want it to be, you know, too deep, I guess. I just kind of, it's almost the size of maybe a tag taper cut there. So I just cut it right into my score line. And then for the bottom corners, we're actually going to cut these out, these squares that we've created at the bottom. But I'm going to do that with also tapering the edges. So I'm going to start at the bottom 1/2. I'm going to taper it into that cross score, so where the score lines crossed, and then I'm going to do a taper out so that I have the whole square cut out, plus I've tapered the edges of my fold lines here. So you can see it's a little bit more than the square because I tapered it down. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to taper it into where my score marks cross, and then I'm going to taper it out so that I have a nice tapered edge for each of my fold lines on the bottom pocket. Okay. And then for the side pockets, before we cut anything, we're going to make a mark first. So here's where you need to decide which side you want to be your top portion. Because what we're going to do is on the back side, okay, from the top down, we're going to make a mark 1.5 inches down. And I'm just going to do that with my pencil. So this is the side I want to be my top, and I'm doing that so that I can get rid of this hole, or so the hole won't be seen. And I'm going to make a 1.5 inch mark, as if my pencil is out, just right down the whole thing, just so you can see it on both sides. And same thing. So I'm going to decide which side I want to be my top, and I kind of like this one because there's a full flower right there that you could see. So I'm going to have that be my top. And then I'm going to measure down on the back 1.5 inches, and then just make a little pencil mark there so I know. So, and this is my top here, and this is my top here, just so I don't forget, because as I'm talking to you doing this, you know, that'll be what happens to me is I'll screw that up. Okay, so now for these, what we're going to do, we're going to cut them from the back side so that you can see your mark. All we're going to do is we're going to cut in, starting at our pencil mark, to our fold line, and then taper it down the rest of the way. So I'll kind of show you what I mean. So the first cut I'm going to make is on that pencil line, and I'm just going to go in to the score mark that I made. And now I always try to, because the score mark isn't, there is actually a width there of that score mark, I'm going to cut to the inside line of that score mark, if that makes sense. So I'm going to actually fully cut off the score mark when I cut down there. And then all I'm going to do is from there, I'm just going to taper my cut, just kind of like we did on the other ones. down here. And the reason that we're doing that, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. So let's cut the other one. So on the other side, do the same thing. Start with the pencil line, cut into the inside edge of your score mark, and then make a little small taper down. And the reason we did that is because this is what will stick into our pocket to make them stackable. And now you could do this, you could do different colors that you wanted to, matching papers like I'm doing. You could probably do this a million different ways. So, but that's kind of how we're going to do that. And so now I'm just going to cut this other one to do the same thing there. Now that we have everything cut, the next thing you want to do before you start folding or gluing anything down is do any decoration if you want to do any decoration. So I think I'm probably going to put some labels or something on them at the top just to kind of differentiate them, that I can do at the end. But I think I'm going to do some sewing, and I think I might also create a notch in these. And so that kind of stuff, the sewing, making notches, that kind of thing, you'd want to do before you glue anything down, obviously, so that you can get that stuff onto your pockets without, any trouble. So when I'm cutting a notch, what I like to do so that they're all in the same place is take your papers and line them up top to top to top and make sure they're all centered and everything. And then you're going to do one punch through all three papers, and hopefully this punch will do all three of these papers. I'm just going to eyeball where the center is, but you could certainly mark this if you wanted to. Woo! That went right up to the camera, I think. Okay, so now I have a notch, but you can see when I start putting these together, my notches will match, where they are center to center to center, which is what I wanted. And so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a zigzag stitch around the top of these. I like to do that because it protects the edge of the pocket, but then also makes it easier for you to slip things down into, I think. So I'm just going to do that zigzag edge right across the top of each one of those, and I'll be right back. So as per usual, I changed my mind when I head over to the sewing machine on what exactly I wanted to do. So what I did was, because I really liked the brown and how much it contrasted with this kind of light cardstock, the pattern on this cardstock, I decided to stitch all the way around. So for my bottom piece, I stitched inside of my score line, because that's the part that will show. And I still wanted to be able to, fold these parts over to make my pocket. But then at the top, I stitched on and off of the paper around to kind of give that a finished edge. And then for the stacking pockets, I just stitched from the bottom of my score, piece that we have left over here across the top and down. And once again, on the sides, I just stitched right inside of my score line so that I could continue to have the fold, but it would still show. So when we stack these, you'll be able to see the stitching all the way around the pockets. And I kind of really liked the way that looked. Okay, so once you've done that, and if you've done any other, decorating that you want to do before you glue everything down, make sure that's done. So like I said, I'm probably going to put some tickets on here or something, possibly, but because I've put the notches in, I may not be able to do that the way I was thinking, which is fine. We can always come up with something else. That's the fun of this, right? Or nothing, that's fine too. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold on all of my score lines. So I'm going to fold these two in for my stacking pockets, and then I'm going to fold in my three sides on my bottom, the base pocket. So now things are really starting to come together. We have to have a place to start gluing these down. So this is kind of how it's going to work, and it's going to be this cute little stacking pocket that goes up there. So I have picked a page in the journal that I would like to use to put these into, and I'm going to start gluing them down. So when you glue them down, you want to start with the bottom pocket first, and you can, decide if you want where you want them on your page, and just be sure that however many pockets you've done, you've sort of measured out where they're going to go on your page so that you don't end up, gluing off the top or something like that. The other thing that I just want you to think about is that when you're doing this, your top pocket, you will have some depth there, but the tags that you make, you may not want, your top pocket to go all the way to the top unless you'd like your tags to stick out of the top, which is totally fine too. I love having things sticking out of the top of the journal, but it's just something that you want to think about before you start gluing things down. So when you glue down the base pocket, you just need to glue the 3 sides down. The one thing that I do want to mention, just so you're aware, is you want your glue to make sure it goes all the way to the outside edge so that the pocket is securely glued down. You don't have to glue or be as particular about the glue on the inside edge as you do along the outside. So what I mean by that is you want to be sure that your glue comes all the way to the edge so that it's fully glued down, but the inside of the flap isn't as important. You want to be sure that your pocket is glued all the way down around the outside edges, and that's why we're doing that. So I've just glued all my 3 sides, and I'm going to put this pretty close to the bottom. And I am going to, because this tacky glue isn't like an instant grab kind of thing, I am just going to hold this down for a second while it sets up before we do the other ones. Okay, this one's glued down pretty well. Now we can start gluing on our stacking pockets. And as you can see, they're just going to slide right in here and then have the same amount sticking out, our 1.5 inches sticking out of the top. And of course you could do that smaller if you wanted to maybe make more pockets. Instead of a 1.5 inch top, like we did in the beginning to cut them down, maybe you could do a 1/2 inch or, however you wanted to do that. So the other thing I wanted to say about gluing these in, there's 2 ways to do it. On the back, we're going to glue the sides for sure, just like we did the bottom, and we are going to try to go to the edge to make sure it's fully glued down. But you can do one of 2 things when you're gluing in your stacking pockets. You can put a bead of glue along the bottom so that your pocket will have a bottom, for a tag to sit on. If you want to be able to put a longer tag towards the top, you don't have to put the bead of glue here. So if you don't put a bead of glue here, when we stack the next pocket in, the tag that goes in this pocket could slide all the way down and be double the size of the bottom pocket if you wanted it that way. So if you'd like to stack in, put the things inside of your pockets that are the same size, then you can put a little bead of glue along here to give your pocket a definitive end that doesn't go all the way to the bottom. So when we put this in here, that bottom goes to about right here. If I didn't glue that down, when I put a tag in this pocket, it could essentially go all the way down to the bottom of this pocket if I didn't put that glue in. If I do put a bead of glue along here, the tag that goes in this pocket obviously will stop right there at that length. So that decision is up to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the sides and put a bead of glue on the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. So once again, I'm going to just put a little bit on there and make sure with my fingers that the glue actually goes to the bottom. And I am going to put just a small bead of glue on the bottom there because I do want this, my pockets to sort of have the same size tags in them and have it look the same when they are sticking out of the top there. Okay, so now very carefully, because we don't want to have that glue slide around too much, we're going to very carefully put this in this pocket and try and get that down there as quick as we can. And then push our sides down as well as our bottom if you are putting a bead of glue on the bottom. So I'm just going to once again hold this down, and then we'll do this same one the same exact way for our top pocket. So the last thing I'm going to do with the pockets is I'm going to decorate them. Now I had stamped some coffee dyed paper with some ticket stamps that I have, but these are really kind of big for what I have now. So I had measured them before I decided to put the little notches in, and if I put these in now, it's probably going to cover up those notches. So I'm not going to use those, but I will put them back in my stash to use at a later time. But then I remembered I have these tickets that I got from Corey from Crafty Coco on Instagram, and I thought these would be so much fun to put on. They're a little bit smaller and I can fit them in, and I think they'll be beautiful on here. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these off because I think I'm going to use 3 of them. And then I'm going to back them with some contrasting paper so that they look nice here. And I like the orange color, how it matches my scrapbook paper. I think that'll be good. So I'm going to take some, I think I had it pulled out over here, just some brown paper here, and just make a very small little border with this, I think, so that they'll really pop off of the page when I put them on. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those down to match that. Okay, I have my pockets all decorated, and I just wanted to make a little comment. If when you're sticking these in with the glue on them, if you don't go real fast and aren't real careful, you may occasionally get a glue, that pushes through and causes your pocket to kind of be blocked up a little bit. So I just take this little palette knife thing that I have and just very gently go in, and if there's any spots that seem to be stuck, this usually pulls them up. up. But just be careful, because if you're, too forceful with this knife, you will definitely go through, the paper, that you're working on. But if you accidentally, when you're holding it down, maybe the glue pushes out a little bit on the side, this works really well to kind of help pull up anything that might have gotten, stuck down somewhere. So I just wanted to mention that. I did actually have that on my middle one. It didn't, I must have gotten some glue in there somewhere. So when I made my tags, I did have to make one that was a little shorter than the other because of that middle pocket having a problem. So then I just went and I just made some tags with some coordinating paper that I thought would look nice with it. And I could decorate these more. I could collage them more. But since I'm putting them in my daily journal, I'm actually going to leave them just kind of plain right now, because I can always come back and do that. That might be just something if I'm looking for a little motivation or want to be creative. I can just go right in and, grab one of these out and make a collage or something with them. So when I get all of my tags put into my pockets there, you can see how cute they look with the green seam binding and everything there. And this one, even though the tag doesn't go up above the end of the paper, the seam binding sticks out. So when it's closed, you can see that out the top, which I totally love. So that is how you make stacked pockets, friends. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.